Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, my name is Sven and this channel is all about photography, videography and filmmaking. When you saw my video, the Daniel Schiffer inspired coffee B-roll, you saw a cool B-roll shot which has cool slow-mo parts in it, but I had to refilm this whole shot because I did a stupid mistake. We all doing mistakes, we are all human beings and we make mistakes, but to avoid such mistakes in the future, I created the Filmmakers checklist, and what mistake I'm talking about, I will show you in a few moments. If you're interested in getting one of the Filmmakers checklist, feel free to let me know in the comments below, and I will put a link in the description in my next video where you can download the checklist as a PDF. But now let's have a look on the B-roll shot what mistake I did. You may notice that the sequence where the coffee fall out of the little glass bowl is not smooth and chops, and I will tell you why this happened. It happened because I forgot to set the right frame rate and I didn't check my camera settings before I started to film, and I wanted a slow motion, but I shot at 4K 24 FPS, and that's a frame rate where you can't slow down your footage because you have not enough frames to fill the slow motion parts. That was my mistake and that normally shouldn't happen when you are a filmmaker. But let's get into the Filmmakers checklist. The checklist has a specific order and contains all the important topics so that you don't forget anything you need. Number one of the checklist is the film mode. You can choose between different film modes: the complete automatic mode, the aperture mode, the time mode where you can choose a specific shutter speed, and the camera chooses an aperture, or you can choose the completely manual mode where you have the full control of your camera, the settings, the exposure, and I highly recommend to shoot in the full manual mode because you normally shoot in a specific shutter speed and a specific aperture. The second point is the choosing the right file format. To get the best shot, you have two options available. You can shoot in 4K 24 FPS or 4K 25 FPS if you're living in Europe. The other option is to shoot in 120 FPS in HD. To find the right frame rate, you should know what you want to shoot. If you want a cinematic shot without any slow motion parts, or you shoot a vlog, then 4K 24 FPS is the right choice. If you know that you want to do some slow-mo parts and do some speed ramps, then you should shoot in 120 FPS HD. It really depends on what you want to shoot, but that was my mistake, and that's why this point is very on top of the checklist. Picture profiles are very useful for filmmakers because you can make a very flat picture, and it gives you the possibility to color correct and to color grade your footage. It's the third topic on the list, and there are different profile pictures available. But what profile picture should you use? That really depends on what lighting situation you are shooting. Because if you are shooting in a normal light condition with bright light, I would recommend to use an S-Log profile, for example S-Log 2 or 3. In low light situations, I would highly recommend to use the Cine profile. When it comes to the right shutter speed, what is the fourth point, I have to say you should use the rule where your shutter speed should double your frame rate to get the natural motion blur in your video. The fifth point is the right ISO. The ISO controls the sensitivity of your sensor to the light and is a very powerful setting. First, you need to know when you use a high ISO, the more noise you get in your footage. When you use a lower ISO, the less noise you have. And using the S-Log profile, you need to make sure to overexpose your footage. In your exposure measure, you should see a blinking +2 that shows that you are overexposed 2 steps, and that's the right exposure for your footage in S-Log 2 or 3. Number 6 on the list covers the aperture, and the aperture depends on how much depth of field you want. And when you want to isolate your subject from the background, you will need a wide open aperture, and that means you need a low number of your aperture. When you don't want to isolate the subject from the background and you want to have all of your image in focus, you need to close your aperture, and that means a higher aperture number. The aperture really depends on your own preferences. Number 7 is the focal length, and there are no limits what focal length you use. It depends on what you like, but if you don't want a shaky footage, I recommend to use a wide angle lens. If you're interested in what lenses I use for my film productions, check out the links in the video description below. And why I'm using a wide angle lens, and that's pretty obviously it's how wider your lens is, the more reduces the micro shakes from your hands. But more tips of shooting better handheld footage will come in another video. The last point on the checklist is the auto or the manual focus, and I personally like to shoot in manual focus because I want to have the full control over the sharpness and the control where I have the focus, but it also depends on what you're comfortable with. If you haven't much experience with manual focus or you're more experienced with the autofocus, then feel free and use the autofocus. The autofocus systems on modern cameras are really good, but sometimes they miss the focus or have another opinion than you. That's why I like to shoot in manual focus to avoid these. These are, in my opinion, the most important points you need to set on your camera before you start to shoot. And if you have any other tips what I should cover in the checklist, feel free to let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video and I could help you with it, then give it a thumbs up. And if you don't want to miss any videos from me, then hit that subscribe button. I'd highly appreciate it, and it will help to grow and to help out my channel. I hope you get better footage after this video. Enjoy your day, keep up your shootings, and stay creative and create nice footage, and I will see you in the next video.